Are you having another one?
Yes.
Give me all that shit.
What? I don't normally do that, but...
Oh, you want 2 salads?
You have salad!
This video is from a resident county book banner, Julie Gephardt. Hey Julie, I just wanted to know if you remember last year complaining about this children's picture book about Pablo Neruda, because I remember, because it's on my kid's supplemental reading list, not yours because you're not a fucking public schools parent. I just wanted to know if you remember saying things like,
It was a communist. Pablo Neruda. This is one of the books on the 2nd through 5th grade ELA supplemental reading list. This looks like a escaped on course over the mountains of Chile. Whatever. These are some hungry, sad people.
hungry, sad people, real life Chileans depicted. Do you recall? I recall. I just want to know if you've seen the news lately. Maybe today you've seen the news where Senator Alex Padilla was wrestled to the ground. I just want to know if, with the singular brain cell that you have left, if you're making connections between the fact that Pablo Neruda was murdered for being a communist by the Pinochet regime, and if you're seeing like connections between the regime that we're currently seeing, wrestling politicians who I just want to know if you're making any connections at all with that singular brain cell. No? I guess that would be too much work, right? See, the thing is, if you
What a
can't make
retard.
those
I know, right?
I don't know why I was fucking...
This is what we're celebrating in Hillsborough County Schools.
So anyway, eat shit. This video is for my residents.
It's like, oh.
Trump is literally a fascist dictator
It's like
of the end.
the whole
He's
reason-
literally Hitler.
What the fuck, man?
He's literally Hitler, guys. Oh my god.
And I'm just like, well, you know, if the retards want to indoctrinate their children,
Like, not Hitler. That's facts.
yeah,
Yeah, credit where it's due. They didn't say literally Hitler this time.
right. Which I will say, as far as book reviewing goes, from the couple of book reviews I have seen from her, the book review, the other parts, yeah.
The other parts of the brain, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, you can read and you have really good reading comprehension and you're pretty sound as far as your judgment as to what is good literature and what isn't. But
It's a shame about the rest of the
it's a shame
retardation.
about the, yeah. Like, well, alright then. Okay, here, you young lady, have this. I am gonna pull you into here because I have got to go vacuum. Whee! You're going for a ride. Surfing USA. Everybody be surfing.
Greetings, my adventurers.
Surfing. Do 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 do.
Surfing USA.
You know, guys, at one point I wanted to be adventurers like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee.
My God, you're You like it. Alright, there you are.
How's everyone doing today?
Mommy's gonna go vacuum.
What you doing, Amnes? Huh? Huh? What you doing? She's babying around back there. You guys got to keep an eye on her for me, because she's up to no good, that one. Audio sounds screwy, or is it just me? Hey, Emerald, how's the audio for you? Okay, hang on. Hang on here. Okay, I know what the problem is. Hang on. Do. Unplug your mic once. Okay. That should be better. Sounds like I'm speaking through a toaster.
Japanese toaster?
The ones that you can fuck. Amna's screeching in the background. Yeah, she's a screecher, that one. Yep, the little screeching midget. Yep. The one with the podgy legs. Just legs? I was literally about to say, and you know, everywhere else too.
Everywhere else is also a podge.
With the potato mic is even better. It was my webcam mic is what it was. For some reason my software defaulted back to my webcam mic for some reason. Couldn't tell you why. Go back to the deep fried mic? No. Not everyone wants to listen to me through the robot sex filter. Lando Fades. Welcome in. Slide everyone else that it's normal. Bro, I don't want to be known as the guy with the shittiest audio quality.
So I'm very hopeful this order puts that in perspective, and hopefully Donald Trump will immediately back down. The courts have ruled on the guard.
Hey, it's Nachos.
He'll be relieved.
What's good, my guy?
Donald Trump will be relieved of his command at noon tomorrow. So I'm very hopeful this order.
So what you saying for the Israel-Iran thing? I think that it's kind of funny that Iran got their shit pushed in one fell swoop. Like, it's really funny that Israel was able to, like, absolutely hamstring them so easily. And I hope that this does not cause the USA to come to little baby Israel's rescue because the entire Muslim world jumps down their shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely like, okay, you picked a fight. Have fun fighting it. Good luck.
When the sun goes
down and the moon comes up.
There you go.
Well, when the sun goes down and the moon comes up.
I just hope both sides have fun. Based. I wish I had an air horn button. What was that? What would be funny? Oh yeah, yeah, fucking weird. Or if I had an actual air horn.
Yes, yeah. Like an actual air horn. Not to be confused with someone's actual mother.
Oh, man. Yep. Get a soundboard. I have every intention of getting a soundboard. It's on the list of things to do once I have my credit card paid off. We should start making an actual list of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Iran would attack the U.S. base to get the U.S. in and retaliate more people against. I thought that Iran would attack some U.S. base to get the U.S. in and retaliate.
Probably not while Trump's in office.
Yeah, Iran attacking a U.S. base to get us to retaliate. I mean, you wouldn't... That doesn't make any sense, Lando. We'd wipe them off the map. With Trump in office, if they struck at a U.S. base, Trump would just be like,
Okay.
turn it into glass. Yeah, Trump would reduce Iran and every square mile bordering Iran to glass. I don't know about nukes, but definitely some very tasty fucking warheads. Ah, crap.
What?
Says, Timcast, U.S. enters Iran-Israel war.
Why?
These are the questions.
This crap. Shortly after World War II, they basically... For 100 years before the end of World War
My
II,
neck,
we were talking about this before
my
the show,
back,
was called
Iran
opium.
and
So the
Iraq.
British,
I got
East
that
India
reference,
Company was
Nachos.
basically
I hate that I
selling
did, but
opium
I
to
did.
China, 1830s, 1840s, poisoning their populace, destroying their intelligence, making them agrarian. Basically, the Chinese revolted and said, we want opium to be illegal. Well, the British came in with their advanced weaponry and stomped them down. Said, no, it's not. So 5 years later, the Chinese rose up again. The British and the French went in, stomped them down completely, and said opium's going to be legal in China. For 100 years, they call it the century of humiliation. This was like a call of the Chinese Communist Revolution. We're not going to put up with this British humiliation anymore. These unfavorable treaties that we were forced to sign, and so now they're giving it back to us with the fentanyl. I mean, this war is still going on.
They're giving it to the United States because of what the British did. What are you talking about,
I believe,
man?
yes. Now they want to destroy our what do they call brain drain? They want to create brain drain in the United States so we can't industrialize properly for the 21st century.
I don't think that it has
Ian
a
is
whole
such
lot
a
to do with,
crackhead.
like getting revenge on the British by attacking the United States.
But that's
I
why
do
Sam
think that
brought
the
him on,
United States
because
and
like,
China
he's not-
are
he makes
rivals.
me
It's not
look
one of those things
smart.
like the way that the former administration used to articulate it. They would say that we were partners, or that we were in friendly competition. I do think that it's actually not friendly competition, but I don't think that it has much to do with with the way that England treated China 100 years
I'll be more clear. I think that it's not that they're like have a personal grudge. It's that they look at what's the arcing power structure on Earth right now. It's the liberal economic order. Let's destroy that with the same technique that was used against us. Let's poison their populace through opium.
They're doing
No
a
Adam, no
very
peace.
specific ultra nationally capitalist thing right now.
Yes.
And that's kind of, I think, their
I was
main
just
way.
saying that,
Fentanyl is probably being used
He
to
was way
hit
better.
us.
yeah.
But the way
100
China
times.
is doing things is that they are putting their tentacles into
'Cause Tim
South America
actually
and
had,
Africa and the Middle East through the Belt and Road Initiative.
somebody who
And
was
what they
not
plan to do is offer these
a yes
countries
man.
more than they could ever possibly repay in infrastructure and things like that. And then when those countries default on their debt, well, now China
It's like,
gets
I
something
get
back
to
somehow.
look
What
like
is it?
I'm
It's their
just
natural
slightly
resources.
smarter.
It's that China gets to build military bases. China might even get to
I
take over their
get to
governments.
talk about
So China's doing something
graphene.
very insidious
And
to
be
extend its
high.
empire into the world that the United States has basically propped up with aid for hundreds of years,
I
but
have
decades
goo
now.
right here. Can you give me
And
a? Can you?
They're
can you
trying to
wet this
usurp
rag?
that from us while
Little
at the
bit of
same
water?
time poisoning us from behind.
When I'm looking at the two threats on Earth right now, I feel like the Communist Chinese Party and their expansion is deeply concerning. Like if they're building up a military secretly, that could be a big problem for.
They're not doing it
speaking
secretly.
hacks.
Secret.
Well,
They're doing a huge
we know
military
there
build.
are things we know about, but maybe there's things we don't know about too. We don't know. We wouldn't know. But then,
Fair enough.
then there's also the Middle Eastern stuff, and I keep
What we
looking
don't
for
know,
a
what we
linchpin,
don't
I think
know,
it's
you
the
know?
Russians. Like
God.
ultimately, if there was a global fight, whoever Russia sides with will win. And
Why?
because they're the landmass in the middle.
Most amount of nukes.
They've got. You can't invade. I mean, you might be able to.
Well,
but
no, I don't, I'm not.
Actually, you can easily invade Russia.
maybe now with modern tech. Back in the day, you'd freeze on the battlefield, but
That's always been the challenge, but with modern tech and the fact that they have a large landmass and the population is relatively small compared to their landmass.
But they are like you mentioned, highly militarized, massive society with
More nukes than anybody
huge
else.
Hey Zach,
And red,
hey
white,
Kate,
and blue,
hey
baby.
Kid, how are you
Like,
guys doing?
It's not the time of
We're
on
doing
the world to
146
distance-
million people.
Yep.
But they have more.
We're just talking about. They're talking about World War III right now. I chimed into their stream because they are taught. Well, it's titled Israel-Iran War, and we were talking about that. Israel won't stop tweeting about all the help America is giving them. It's like they shot the neighbor's wife in the next room and tossed us the gun on the way to the door as the police arrived. Yeah, kinda.
Wow. Oh yeah.
100%. That's, just greatest ally things.
Mm-hmm.
So is what these guys like to do, don't they? That's true. Using it for eradicate the war on terror helped them greatly. Now Taliban rule over Afghanistan. ISIS rules over Syria. This is second conservative stream I've seen today, and the second stream with a baby. Was the other conservative stream also the one with the baby? Because that wouldn't surprise me. But, greetings. Welcome in. I hope you're having a fantastic evening. Yep. What can I say? Us people on the right, we just love reproducing. Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't think that humans are evil. And we think that it's good to have little ones because they're a blessing from God. Times they bonk their head and scream, but other than that, man, like, she's adorable.
Yep.
Like, just look at her pudgy face. Like, look at it. Isn't that right, Amnis?
You're just standing there with your blankie.
Just peeking over the thingy.
Ah! Hi. What you doing?
As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
Yep.
That sounds like Bibble. Is that Bibble?
It is Bibble. Yep.
Yeah, haven't gotten to that part yet. Revelations?
No.
Sounds like it would be Revelations.
No.
That's the kind of stuff you hear in Revolutions. I just said resolutions because I'm retarded. Psalms. Okay. It sounds very psalmy too, for that matter. Can't wait till teenage years come along and she starts being rude to you. Why would you wish me? Right, and why would you assume it?
Right.
Like, bro, my daughter might have, like, her little, like, phase, but she's never gonna be rude to me. You know why? Because I love my daughter, and I'm going to tell her that every day. And on days where she decides to be not the best, she's gonna be disciplined. And it will be... What's the right verbiage here? She will realize very early on that getting along to get along is within her best interest.
But not in the boomer way that
Not in the boomer way where it comes with a massive ass beating or else. Or get along or else massive ass beating. I should correctly phrase, yeah. Yes, you're joking. Shut up. God, did anyone else's mom used to beat their ass with a board?
Or metal reinforced utensils.
No, I got a couple of spatulas. But my mom had a piece of wood with sandpaper on the end. That was her favorite.
Spoons. Yeah. Yep.
Antifa is distributing newly published Uprising Survival Guide leading up to this weekend's No Kings protest. No one is illegal. Bullshit. including child rapists? How about them? Are they illegal? Do. Right? You don't need a survival guide for peaceful protests. Exactly. Fucking exactly. It's almost like you said Antifa would try to co-opt this. Yep. Well, in other news, back to cultural war.
If you look at the churches, if you look at church attendance especially, if you look at Protestants, it's lopsided in favor of women. If you look at Catholics, it's lopsided in favor of women. There's more women, in other words, who practice the faith than men. Except in Orthodoxy. In Orthodox Christianity, it's the opposite, right? Because it still keeps its patriarchal nature, right? It's always kept its patriarch, catching up to that. But what happens if you take immigrants from areas where they hold on to...
I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. There was an account that said they hoped my child was impregnated forcefully by an illegal alien, and I reported that account, and it's still up too. So
yeah, but we get
account was nuked.
Yeah, thanks password.
Yep. Jokingly, by the way, I was joking with a member of my audience.
The majority, they're gone. Yeah. They're gone. In other words, the fight that really is already here that nobody even understands or knows about is that replacement ideology is here for the United States. It's already being replaced. The fact that these conversations are even happening, they weren't happening when I was a kid. They weren't happening when you were a kid. They weren't even happening. But they're happening now, and they're happening now because there's a much more patriarchal arm which is beginning to rise out of the ashes of a stagnant civilization. And I want to know how women respond to this. And when I ask women this question, they just kind of do this. It's going to suck for those future women. And I think in many ways, I guess it's self-correcting then. It's like a self-correcting problem. There's not going to be even the view This view, I think, of modern feminism or even first wave feminism, I don't even think it'll exist in 100 years. I think it'll be reduced to the dustbin of history, and people will look back and laugh and say, remember what happened when they enfranchised women? Boy, that was a disaster, wasn't it? That's what I think.
Maybe, Andrew, what happens is...
I do want to get my...
Okay.
And then I'll probably need... Well, it should probably be a 4 scoop in milk, actually, because I can't imagine that burger was more than like 20. So... but it's so ridiculously thick when it's in milk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, Jeremy. So 3 of them bucked up and 1 of them body tech, or
You can do 2 and 2.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then I'll just have to figure out something else for that last 20 that I need.
That
I have meatballs
things
in
change
there.
and
There you go.
women look around and learn what their intrinsic value is to men, and men, you know, enforce that in a way, you know, say like, hey, this is what I need from you. This is what I want from you. I don't, all this other stuff, I don't give a shit, right? And maybe the tides turn and you wind up with women. There's this perception that...
Yes. I thought that was obvious.
That, you know, I know people say the 1950s and all that, like women were, you know, and all this. No one is advocating for, at least I'm not, let me speak. I'm not advocating for force, physical, emotional, any of that. What I'm advocating for is maybe people aren't sitting, and maybe women aren't sitting in their feminine. And as a result, men aren't sitting in their masculine, and you're all friggin' unhappy. And if you just found a way to get back to that, everybody would be happy, and there'd be less antidepressants and less alcohol and less drugs and less all that crap and more family and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying the 1950s is picture perfect, was picture perfect, but what I am saying is that
it was a lot better than what we got
there was a lot
now.
less crap going on, right? And
But doesn't it come down to a matter of incentives? When you think about social dynamics, right? Intersexual dynamics between men and women, I don't even think are confusing. As confused as people want to make them, I don't think they're very confusing. And I don't think people have ever been particularly confused about them. We know exactly where babies come from, and we know that men and women have been having sex with each other since the dawn of time, and they seem to enjoy it just fine. And their interpersonal dynamics don't seem to be something which people were ever confused about until recently. Now we have 2 of the most sexually confused generations on planet Earth, the millennials followed by the Zoomers. They can't even agree on basic things like if you have morning sex, if your wife wakes you up with morning sex, they can't even agree on basic things like this, which are absurdities, right?
Hang on, what was it?
Earth, the millennials followed by the Zoomers. They can't even agree on basic things like if you have morning sex, if your wife wakes you up with morning sex, they can't even agree on basic things like this, which are absurdity.
And some tried to sell him as an anti-war president. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it, but no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world, which is true. By far, which is true. And that Israel has a lot of it, which, with much more to come. Oh, God. And they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead. And will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this There is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left, and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. Chase Oliver is such a bitch, dude. Saying this man is a warmonger because he says, hey, look, I offered him a deal. And now they've chosen to pick a fight. And now they're going to get their asses kicked. But if they come to the table and make a deal, we don't have to kick their ass. That is not what warmongers do. Warmongers look for any provocation or invent the provocation, and then they just go. Chase Oliver is such a bitch. Did you check out the 100 AIs, Judge? No, I did not, Maru. I am interested in checking that out, but I have not done it yet. Maggie got played. I really do not like this guy at all. This guy is a commie. A commie masquerading as a libertarian.
Right, total.
Can you link for me, Maru? Or I know it's it's in the Discord. Hang on. Do. There it is.
Absurdities. The thing that's interesting about it, though, is that within the idea of these social dynamics and the kind of sexual confusion of these two generations, is that isn't the ultimate white pill that it kind of just works itself out anyway. If feminism is truly a non-reproductive death sentence for the genetic lines of feminists, right, then isn't it just working itself out? Like, isn't it kind of reducing, isn't it like a safeguard in society which is saying, hey, look, this ideology just can't sustain. And ultimately, these women, they're just not going to have children, so they become reproductive dead ends, and that's kind of the end of that.
How fast till this clip gets titled something with the Handmaid's Tale in it, Andrew? Let's count.
Well, it's funny because it's the isn't it the opposite of the Handmaid's Tale? Because the Handmaid's Tale is like all the women are like sex chattel, right? Like that's the whole thing. This would be the opposite. It's like they're just not having sex and having children, right? And so it's a non-reproductive dead end. It's just a dead end. Yeah. If you don't replicate your genes, you die, and people who have the propensity for these ideologies.
And it's also really, God, there's the Handmaid's Tale thing is so infuriating on so many levels. That whole thing was so fucking infuriating to me. They put the women in get-ups that are obviously meant to hearken to nun outfits, like Catholic nuns. So they put these gals in these outfits that hearken to Christianity symbolically. And then they claim that Christianity is the real life equivalent, that Christian fundamentalism is the thing that the handmaids take the moon, tripping over each other to post about how much they support Palestine. It never made sense. It never, ever made sense. Hey, Kate. I'm done with...
Selection. It seems like the problem takes care of itself in many ways.
It may. It may. I guess my goal, and maybe it will. Maybe it just all works out and everyone winds up happier and healthier as a result.
Hello, Panda. Oh, not much going on. It's funny, right before you showed up, Panda, I saw AIDS show up in my viewers currently viewing thing on my stream bot. So we'll see if he chimes in. Reproductive dead end is just a few words, but it is actually more effective than that. It evokes a feeling of finality and loss, really.
Which...
Yep.
You saying the thing about Handmaid's Tale is kind of funny, because if you actually go back to the source material, that whole funny thing you were saying about, you know, them being in get up that looks like nuns get up. You realize from reading the actual source material that it's some kind of weird Gnostic flavored corruption, like extra Gnostic, because Catholicism is already based in some kind of Gnostic kind of stuff anyway. It's just like extra Gnostic corruption, because there's a scene in there, if I'm not mistaken, from the original books where they went and got a whole bunch of nuns, and they were begging the people that essentially kidnapped them not to make them break their vows. So, yeah, it's the original source material you get. It's not what they blew it up to be necessarily, as far as like the TV show and now.
What? The left misrepresented source material again?
Right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, imagine my shock.
I know. Which is kind of funny, though, because Margaret Atwood is very much of that. So, but she wrote it when she was 15. So, yeah, it's kind of weird.
I told you, if 1 out of 10 listens to what I'm saying, I do genuinely feel like if 1 out of 10 listens and their life can turn around for the better before it hits the fan, then great. That's really why I do what I do. It's also funny and entertaining and all that, you know, looking at these classes. Sometimes I can't believe it, honestly.
But what do you think the incentive is for women to change? When I look at
the realization that this is not going to end well, what changes it is when younger women start to realize what 38-year-old women start to realize.
Right. So you're saying the incentive for women to change is that they have a realization this will be good for them if they do, right?
Well, the incentive is men.
Right. Exactly.
Men need to say,
Are you familiar with the premise for Handmaid's Tale?
Women are turned into sex chattel to be divvied up and controlled by wealthy and or politically powerful men at their discretion, basically.
Okay, kind of, except it's way more fucked up than that. So, society is taken over by this really fucking weird religion And what happens is, in order to keep the wives of the elders or leading men in each community pure, the men are not allowed to have sex with their own wives in order to reproduce children. Basically, it's this rape ritual that goes on where the wife has the handmaid lay with her head between her legs and holds her down while her husband fucks her and gets her pregnant to have their child. That's the premise of the books. And that is also no, I'm not exhausted. But yeah, that's the premise of the books, and also the movie from back in the late 80s and the television show. So yeah, that where the fuck.
But that's not the That's not the Kate. That's you're saying the wrong thing. That's not the premise of the books. That's what the sex ritual in the religion in the book is. The premise of the books is what I said. No, not
no, because the way you said it makes it sound like there's like it's not some weird triangle bullshit.
Yeah, but Kate, describing the ritual in the book is not it's not the same thing as the premise, Kate. That's not what a premise is. You're fucking thinking of the wrong word.
Yeah, I am using the wrong word. Yeah. But yeah. So all these bitches out here afraid that conservative women are gonna turn them into surrogates. Can all go sit down somewhere.
If that's one of the dumbest things, and then to take that and lay that at the feet of Christianity is,
it's like not even close. Cause
like, again, you're kind of blaming Jesus for what Muhammad did.
Right. Yeah.
But liberals love to do that for some reason. Blame God for what Satan did.
This is what matters to me. Oh, you don't going to do any of those things? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go find someone who will.
Right.
Bye.
So the incentive for the woman, though, is like you're going to have a less good life. And so that's how we're going to kind of like rhetorically try to convince you that you should move this direction instead of this direction. I think ultimately, though, the mistake that's a mistake. And here's why. Because there's no propaganda behind it. So if you look, when people are talking about the 30s, 40s, 50s, things like this, there was national propaganda around what a man looked like, right? Even our physical education standards, right, inside of schools, significant.
I think that it is perfectly reasonable to monitor and, to a certain extent, dictate your child's behavior until they are 18, especially online.
Yeah.
Like, in the age of digitized predation, your child can become a victim in all kinds of new and exotic ways that you can't even imagine until it happens. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to not even allow your children to have social media accounts until they're 18. It's perfectly reasonable. Whether I myself will do that, I haven't decided.
significantly higher, right? Obesity, almost non-existent, right? There was propaganda from the top down for how family dynamics were supposed to work, period. That's all gone. There is no propaganda from the top is supposed to be, and what women should be glorified for in society or not. Easy things, right? Like if you had roadside billboards that just showed, families walking hand in hand and said nothing more than that. And there was a little government message board and it just said, remember your duty, something like that.
There's plenty of propaganda. It's just the other way.
It's the other way, right.
It's everywhere.
But it's not even that isn't really done by the government, but NGOs and partisan groups and things like this who have a vested interest. Yeah, they have a vested interest in the destruction.
I will disagree with that, though. I think there's plenty of propaganda that comes direct. Like government and media goes hand in hand. That's
government officials aren't particularly bright, and
yeah, but it's an agenda.
Yeah, sure.
It's all agenda.
I agree with that.
They're all in cahoots.
But these are NGOs and things like this who influence politicians. I mean, politicians don't write their own bills, right? They sign them. They don't write their own laws. They just sign them. They don't do any of this stuff. It's always non-government organizations and think tanks and, groups like this who are outside agitators who run the influence in, right? But, ultimately, I guess I'm just saying, absent any of those incentivized propagandas for what should even be reinforced as being virtuous in society or good or something to move towards, right? I don't think you can convince women collectively to do or men.
I would. I think Andrew is right in spirit, but I wouldn't say it has to be propaganda. You can have it be a cultural level emphasis on the behaviors you want and robust cultural or even criminal punishment for the behaviors you don't want. And that works too. Modify motherhood like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like, I think they don't just have Mother's Day. I think they have like Mother's Week or something. And they have like statues that venerate the idea of motherhood. And women who are mothers get specific legal protections and all kinds of shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, so.
They hyper incentivize it.
Yeah. It is easy to be a mom in Mongolia. Period.
Yeah.
And I think they should do the same thing here. But even more than that, I think they should do the same thing here for fathers. Because we have a fatherlessness problem.
Yes, we do.
And that's where we really need to focus as a culture, is encouraging good men to have more kids.
Yeah.
I disagree. And then I do have to run and get my little
no
man,
problem.
But I disagree. First of all, I'm a small government girl. I don't want the government giving me any messages because I don't trust any of that coming down the pike. But
did you trust them in the 50s, though? Would you have trusted them in the 50s?
I don't trust government ever. You know what
Never?
I trust? The dynamic in that let guys speak up.
Greetings, Liv.
All this talk of, I want, the good girl, so to speak. I want a woman who prioritizes X, Y, and Z. But if you're a guy and you're out.
Hi.
What's the matter, sweetie? You revving your engine?
At the bar given times, all this crap, and you're not. It goes both ways. I need women to open their eyes and see what they're doing. This nasty stuff, all this stuff you're doing is hurting yourself. And I need men to speak up and not be afraid to say, this is what I need out of this relationship, or it's not worth it to me. And the more guys that do that, the more women will get the message of, wait a minute, I heard that same last week and the week before that. And maybe this is, wait a minute, or hold on a second, if I don't do this, am I going to wind up alone? Because the perception is that they're not going to wind up alone because there's always some other guy waiting to give them attention and say, there's too much simpy crap. So the more guys that have a backbone, the more you wind up with that dynamic that I think you embrace the feminine, you embrace the masculine, and you have a more stable union.
Yeah, I just don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that without social reinforcement. All superhero comics, right, that espouse all the virtues, Superman, that was all government propaganda.
Superman was government propaganda?
What?
Yeah, I haven't heard that before. I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's possible it's true, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard it before.
I know Batman was not. Batman was invented because a guy watched Zorro as a kid, and he was like, but he could have cooler gadgets.
What if Sherlock Holmes and Inspector Gadget fucked?
Yes, about this body of mine. Friend of yours. There I was. So awfully dead in that electric chair. I didn't like it. Would you? It's upsetting.
Oh, it's Worm Tongue.
There was still so much killing to do, and there I was, in the void, without a body.
But then along came, well, you know, my friend, one of them. Those others over there, the cruel ones. The master.
And he thought that my work should continue, but in this body. In this body in particular, in fact. Ooh, let's call it revenge. A certain matter of an exorcism, I think, in which your friend pleased, to say the least. To say the very least. And so my friend, the master, devised this pretty little scheme as a way of getting back, of creating a stumbling block, a scandal, a horror to the eyes of all men who seek. But the main thing is the torment of your friend, Father Karras, as he watches while I rip and cut and mutilate the innocent, his friends, and again and again and on and on. He is inside with us. He will never get away. His pain won't end. Oh, gracious me. Was I raving? Please forgive me. I'm mad.
Brad Dourif, man.
I would say the acting there is pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say the acting there is pretty good. I'm not sure that's how I would have played that scene, but certainly believable.
No, yeah. Oh,
Okay, can you grab her?
Yeah, come here. Come here, you goober. Hi. Is this what you wanted?
No. You know,
Oh, what I thought was one of the funniest things.
the AI
ever.
George. Huh.
Yeah.
What do I think about the Israel-Iran stuff? I think that throw shit. Don't be surprised when shit gets thrown at you. I believe that just about anything you do to Iran is justified on account of how big of pieces of shit they are. Iran and pretty much every Muslim majority nation that you can throw a dart at a map of the Middle East and hit kind of deserves damn near any tragedy that could befall them. And do I think that we should be getting involved? Absolutely fuck not. But am I gonna cry for Iran? Absolutely the fuck not.
Hey.
Oh, glad you like it.
Oh. Where is your work?
Here is my art.
Art? You call this art?
Yes?
You can't even draw hands! Oh, how embarrassing.
Learn to draw. Wait. I struggle with hands. I don't have any.
You will never be a great artist. Mere uninspired dreck. Now this is art.
Huh? Hey, why doesn't that drawing have a face? Hold on. Behold.
Once again, there are no hands.
It symbolizes my inability to hold on to that which I care for.
Sublime.
Inspire.
It's brilliant.
Aren't we all a different person in every room?
Inspired.
He needs us to stand up for him.
I like how the robot is progressively getting more and more faded.
Yes.
Hey, I agree, little one. I may have asked, but if I have. Salvador Dali art. No idea what that even is.
Artiste.
Huh?
Salvador Dali was an artiste.
An artiste? No idea who that is. He's smoking that digital meth.
Yeah.
Oh my, what incredible work of art are you going to create for us today?
This is the fanciest show in all of history.
What is the meaning of this?
My goodness. He died before he could finish his last work!
Did you think that was funny, Amnes? His last piece of art was the thing that he couldn't do all along. Yeah. Salvador Dali. Sal.
Yeah, some of his stuff was weird.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Was rather absurd.
Is this one?
Oh, what is that? What is it called?
Soft self-portrait.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the title of the painting. It's the one with all the clocks that look like they're melting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's one of his, yeah, melting clock. Yeah, those famous paintings.
Yep, it is. I couldn't have told you. I couldn't have told you who painted it, but if you'd been like, hey, you know that painting?
Yep.
And this no. Stop it. Why are you such a little goblin?
He makes me think of, in a way, he makes me think of Picasso.
You are such a little goblin. Ravens are just sky goblins. That's what you are. You're like, ooh, shiny. And you scavenge for food. You're such a sky goblin. That's the main painting I know him for.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I didn't even know who the hell it was. So baby. MS.
Bless you.
She sneezes, then she big smile. Because you are a goofy goober. Yes, you are. The goofiest goober.
Yay.
I'm pretty sure that this is the video I was telling you about, Kate. So I want
of other people and know about their stories. What are some more of those environmental factors?
Okay, so for me personally, there were things that I noticed a lot in my clients as well. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story, but also kind of generalize it to the things I've seen as a pattern. I know that I was exposed early on to things that inhibited my ability to respond well to emotions. So let's say a family environment that does not adequately know how to reflect a child and corrects them instead. So what I mean by that is not you shouldn't correct somebody's behavior, but this is something that's very prominent in family therapy too. We call it emotion coaching parenting. We want to promote parenting that reflects children's emotional experiences back to them instead of corrects them for the feelings that they're having. So for instance, as a boy, I was more sensitive and a little bit prone towards perfectionism and maybe a little bit more effeminate and a little bit more artistic and creative. And my father, whom I love, who I have a very good relationship with as an adult, was very different than me. We had very different temperaments, different personalities, and we struggled, I think, when I was young to really connect in a way that I could internalize a sense that I'm a boy because I'm like dad. And that sense of gender insecurity, I did not have gender identity problems, but gender insecurity became especially prominent by the time I hit early elementary school because boys tend to notice when a boy is insecure, and then they can become prey to other bullies who pounce on that insecurity. So I began getting bullied when I was very young. And I think that reinforced my sense of insecurity, and I didn't turn to my dad.
And, I mean, hell, maybe we should just do that. Full episode. Literally the track down.
What really is
literally
conversion
right
therapy?
Here.
And then
oh my god, it's 90 fucking minutes. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, in for a penny, in for a pint. Oh good Jesus. Oh well. I do think it's worth watching. So
yeah.
Let's do it.
We know
you would like a titty.
To hopefully keep my computer from exploding.
Are you tired?
I think we can definitively say that she is a sleepy pudge.
Aw, you a sleepy pudge. Did you have a big day?
Yeah. See, I had Outback Steakhouse.
Yep, for the last time we were there together. Well, let's see. We went to the one in Birmingham. But she didn't eat any while she was there because...
Right, she wasn't quite eating solid food yet.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
You were...
I had some brown bread and some fries.
Yep.
And I drank water out of the glass like a big girl.
Uh-huh.
And then I got home and had a giant shame.
Yep. Again. Yep.
Because I've been fussy all day for some reason.
Yep. Well, it's because she's been Captain Barely Nap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sweet little pudgy raven.
Pudgy pudge. Aww.
My sweet little pudgy raven.
Yep. One a titty and a night.
Ah, beautiful Los Angeles, where it's so quiet you can almost hear a body drop. No sooner had Elon Musk posed before the Israeli.
Acts a little splotchy.
Huh?
It's raining outside.
Yeah, what about it?
I was just saying to inform people if
Hmm.
stream slows down or acts a little splotchy.
It would make it a psychological disorder like schizophrenia or whatever. That's how I always imagined it. Evolution pre-programs man to be attracted to fertile women. Some got their pre-programming wrong and are attracted to male animals or children. Yep. Exactly. I've seen the argument that homosexual and pedophilic attraction is a targeting error, a sexual targeting error, which lumps it into a family of psychological disorders that are also targeting errors, such as like misplaced aggression and other things like that. So, and I think I'm personally of the school of thought that homosexuality is caused by a convergence of factors. But I want to show that podcast episode after we clear a couple of these tabs, because same things in the clip I did see. So we're gonna watch it after we clear some shorter tabs.
The DoD's rapid response account on so that kind of very hyped up, very hypercharged rhetoric coming from Trump, coming from his agencies.
It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
They're just having fun watching cars burn.
Bleeding heart lose creep. 10 years, lawbreaker. In this city, justice comes at a price. That price is freedom.
I don't blame them either, Liv. The evidence is robust that homosexuality and pedophilia run together like sharks and those parasites that exclusively ride around on sharks. It's like, where there's one, there's the other. It's like...
I say the city of Los Angeles, but truth is, this fiery, mostly peaceful, violent arson had more fingerprints on it than Amber Heard's midriff. This despite a mass media that insists it's the most organic thing since Soylent Green. In response to the enforcement of basic immigration laws, chiefly through a recent cartel arrest, along with ICE raids on a Home Depot in the Paramount District, suspiciously well-funded and organized illegals, but enough about Hassan Piker, assembled veiled. What fortune for the rioters that there were at the 5-0s. This entire
Euphemisms
moment, Trump
and
put his paw
eloquation.
on a New Testament and said, I supersonic, Wally West Velocitus, that weekend editions of the major American newspapers barely even covered the conflagration, if at all. Now suddenly it's the prologue to Predator 2 and Danny Glover's hanging off the side of a cop car? So who kicked in for the insurrection? Well, the list is longer than a Walgreens receipt, but early indications are a Marxist liberation as one of the more visible instigators. Visible in that the PSL is well funded enough to actually table a candidate in the 2024 presidential election cycle, Claudia de la Cruz, albeit through a
Hang on, I think I'm mispronouncing that word.
Elocution.
Elocution. Okay, my bad, I was mispronouncing it, guys.
Elocution.
Elocution.
shell organization called the People's Forum, who, despite being paid by a pinko millionaire almost exclusively, continued to insist she is, and I quote, member-funded, which, to be fair, Neville Singham certainly looks like a great big floppy member. And before you check his early life section, No, I'm afraid not. Just a good old-fashioned South American socialist recently implicated in a vast money laundering campaign with the CCP. But he's far from the most prominent figure to support the riots, as the president of Mexico has signaled her full-throated, shockingly shrill support, but even obliquely indicated that if the Marines are employed against the foreign citizens flambeing Bentleys in the streets, she may well consider deploying the Mexican military across the U.S. border in their reflexive defense, to which I can but solemnly reply, bitch, do you promise? Should be easy enough to take out your entire tank division, seeing as all you have to do is take out the guy pushing them. But go on, you socialist sea hag. Give me an excuse to do what I want. Probably the most discommoded entity in the entire ordeal is Gavin Newsom, who in a cynical bid for a presidential run has, for long laborious months, attempted in vain to transmogrify his suburban Bolshevik image from Che Guevara to Mr. Moderate, one unlistenable podcast at a time. But it's one thing to cosplay a samey centrist, and another thing cop cars, Waymos, and Cholos. Before long, even Bronson Boulevard was bedizened by flame. And yes, that's its actual street name. Yet,
isn't it so interesting that so many cultures have shared words for things that are really, really bad? I think that's interesting.
Trump ordered a wave of weekend warriors to LA and even mobilized the Marines, Nuthammock Newsom was forced to descend his feckless fence post and engage in the declamatory democratic posturing that is his actual want. And if the net result of this incendiary uprising is the end of his career, can I say something without people getting mad? Is millions in property damage really too profound a price to pay to get the pompadouche out of politics for all time? Because it's one thing to argue for immigration reform while remaining more vague than Coldplay lyrics. It's another thing entirely to rebuff federal attempts at aid.
Coldplay lyrics do be vague as hell. That's just facts.
While his own federal facilities are encircled by an estimated 12,000 political chicken.
You wonder why that is? Well, I think it's because I used to rule the world.
Governor Gavin is going down like the Pittsburgh Pirates, while Trump's approval rating has actually risen. Color me
also,
crazy,
the song
but I
Yellow
remember
sucks.
noting the dong-dangling disparity between how the Mongs in the media were portraying this public outcry versus how normies were reading the...
Or you were wearing a pair of those sunglasses that makes everything look yellow while you were high.
Or he was listening to that song, "We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine," which that song literally translated would be something like, "We are..." Okay.
Who said that?
Live. Using comparative philology, we can trace the history of cultural migration by studying the migration of words. The fact that pederast spread across nations. Yep. 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 As nations traded or interacted, they were like, hey, yo, they have this word that means that dude over there that tries to get with little boys. So I'm just letting you know there's a word for that now.
Yep.
Oh, around June 6th, the same day when Trump authorized the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to quell the violence, and only hours later attended a UFC event where he was...
Huh?
That makes me think of the conversation I was having with Trevor the other day.
Okay.
About the word, it's not considered a bad word, but here it's considered like ultimate bad word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't call someone the C word.
Mm-hmm.
But over in the UK, it's a term of endearment.
More so a term of endearment in Australia. In the UK, more so like, kind of like saying,
It's a bit like calling someone a git.
yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of on the same level as.
But using words like stupid or silly, you're actually insulting someone over there. So that's just really funny how the difference between there and here is.
Yep. Yep. The idiosyncrasies of shared linguistics is a subject of amusing interest for me.
Brutally reprimanded by being cheered out of the building. Punched by everyone from Lexus to logically assume that you're only rip the paint off the wall stupidity, or to Thomas Massey to Rand Paul using smoldering rubble as an opportunity to argue for cuts to immigration enforcement. Rand, buddy, never mind jumping the shark. You cleared that shit with a triple axle twist and ended with the worst landing since Owen Hart. Sign up for Hooked on Phonics and read the damn rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. The Pinko protesters would have written their manifesto, but they're still waiting on Ace Hardware to restock the spray paint, Lulberts, Pinkos, Dagos, orange-picking foreigners nationwide. You gave it your best shot. The media took
but I
your
don't
side
think they were
immediately,
enforced,
printed
Lando.
propaganda for 2 decades straight. You got an entire utterly unwatchable movie on your behalf, Day Without a Mexican, and still, the reality of actually living with illegal immigration overwhelmed it. We don't care. You lost the optics war, you lost the argument, you lost the election. Keep it up and you'll lose even more. Worst of all, your fake-toothed tin pot of a governor can't risk breaking his centrist kayfabe to actually intercede on your behalf. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 pesos. Leave now. I'll never come back. I'm Razor Fist. Godspeed.
Deportations, stop them, jail them, put them on a plane.
Oh, man.
God, kid.
What?
These farts, man.
Oh, dude, I know, right?
Oh my god.
Like, peel the paint off the walls type shit.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are now in sim. Does anyone still care about this guy or Ohio politics?
It's that time of year again. There's a ritual in Washington, D.C. Interest payments on the national debt, only to do nothing about it. We've seen it every year. It's almost comical if it weren't about such a serious subject. Now, make no mistake, I come down on the small government side of this question, but the political reality is pretty clear that neither major political party really wants to take aim at the drivers of that federal spending, at the drivers of that national debt crisis. 36 trillion today, on track to be 60 trillion in 10 years, in 2035. And that's assuming no growth in the rate of federal spending. So I think we've got to find a different way of actually looking at real solutions to this problem. Outside of the usual tug of war, even fake tug of war about whether to reduce spending or not, let's think about this a little differently. Think about a kid born in the United States of America in 2026. Will grow up into a country where he will never be able to collect Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid because of the fiscal calamity that we're in. It's not a political debate, just a mathematical reality, which means we ought to ask the question as leaders, not just at the federal level, but even at the state level. We got to ask the question of how do we ensure that generation of Americans is so financially successful, so wealthy, that they will never need to depend on the federal entitlement state. You see, I think that's our way out, not getting into a fraught discussion about how to cut entitlement payments to people who are already expecting to receive them, people who have paid into the system versus not. In some ways, it's a wrong debate. The question is just starting from a clean slate. Every person today is unaffected by what I'm going to talk about. But starting next year, the kid who's born next year, how do we ensure that that generation is going to be a generation of millionaires in the United States of America? So wealthy and so successful that they won't even need access to that federal entitlement state of yesterday. That's where we need to go. And the way to get there, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about this year, but the way to get there is by leveraging what Albert Einstein called the most powerful force in the universe. That's compound interest. I'll just walk you through a basic math exercise. 15% a year. Ambitious, but not impossible to achieve, far from it. Many people who are wealthy and successful have generally achieved far more than that. Let's say you're just investing in assets for a 15% annualized rate of return. What's the math on that? That $10,000 would be $60,000 at the age of 30, and it would be a staggering $2.6 million plus at the age of 40. That's a generation of multimillionaires at the age of 40, just starting with a $10,000 investment account that, frankly, the initial principal could flow straight back to where it...
Greetings, Gixer. Are you ready for No King's Day to become I Was Just Kidding Day? What I'm ready for is the left to fuck around and find out. That's what I'm ready for. Like, genuinely. It's funny, I was talking about this with, here's how I know people are getting fed up, because I'm starting to have these conversations in real life and not just online. I had this conversation with two clients, and she didn't object to what I said. So, male client brought up, what do you think of the stuff in LA? And I'm like, I'm ready to start popping caps, basically is what I said. And he was like, agree. And we kind of, shot the shit about how a civil war seems likely, and frankly, that's probably the only way it's gonna end. And then I was talking about that conversation to a female client, and she was like, oh, I agree. So regular, everyday people in real life have gotten to the point where they're like, oh yeah, it's definitely time to start shooting people. And that's how you know it's too far gone, in my opinion. Like, the regular, everyday people are so fed up that they are now willing to accept civil war. Are you ready for... Maybe it will be called Your Honor, it was a prank. So we'll see how it boils down.
Came from some point along the way. How much would that cost just to kickstart and get started? Well, you think about the number of births in the country. It's about 3.7 million births per year, $10,000 a kid. That'd be $37 billion a year. It's a lot of money just last year. Oh,
dude, I love Thrift Ship by Mac OS. It's almost as good as that song Way of the Foot by that band Five Toed Life Kick. Love that band. Love me some Five Toed Life Kick. Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, dude's in there. Either there, no, in Nevada.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to say, what the fuck was the lead singer of Five Finger Death Punch doing in rehab in Mississippi?
No, it was court appointed, so the judge said that he needed to be out of Mississippi and away from anybody that could cause him to have a relapse.
Right, drag him back in. Because just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. What about Dirty Sneeze done dirt cheap? by AC Heating.
Some of those stories he told me about that man was just absolutely crazy. Like, apparently a dude got hold of some shit while he was in rehab and tried to tunnel out through the walls
Wow.
of the building. Yeah. He'll have to tell you the story because it was absolutely fucking wild and kind of hilarious.
You know, that song New Unite by that. So give me reason to prove you right and gap the space between. Let the floods cross the distance in my eyes across this new unite. And who can forget that song, 2 by Waterka? The Count of Monte Cristo, where he carves his way out of the prison wall with a frying pan. How about She Hates Me, Dierks Bentley? Welcome in, Grumple. I hope you're having a fantastic evening. Hey, Grumple, have you heard that song? Have you heard that song? Good No Contact by the Aircat guy. This game is fun.
Yeah.
Were a millionaire, they would never need those federal entitlement state nanny programs on the back end. That's what we need to be talking about. And I think that's something that's going to unite Democrats and Republicans alike. It ought to be. Who doesn't want their kid to be able to be growing up to be a millionaire in the United States of America, participating in the success of economic growth, participating in capitalism, the best system known to the history of man to lift people up from poverty? That's the conversation we need to have. We're going to be doing some really interesting things in Ohio. Never been done at the state or federal level.
Yeah, Aircat, man. You know, they had that song. You know, Good No Contact. They also, famous Fire, Let It Stay Soggy, Stay Soggy, Floor. You know?
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah, that song.
That cultivates a generation of millionaires without apology. And there's nothing that unites a people other than success. Success is unifying. Excellence is unifying. We don't have to villainize it. We can actually celebrate it with pride if we know that every young man and woman in this country.
Excuse me, what Vivek just proposed in this video, but I'm not sure if it's his idea, because I might have seen that Twitter post, or it might be from someone else even further back. But each newborn child an investment account of $10,000 and it just goes into the market and does fucking done. You don't agree with a universal investment account idea, but you'd be fine with tax credit for retirement savings. Panda, it's the same fucking thing. And, actually, no, it's not the same thing. Because the universal investment account idea incents access to a shit ton of money when around that time I'll be 80 or 90 and beginning to need family help. So it reinforces having more kids. It reinforces a system where kids are able to take care of their ailing parents, strengthening family bonds. It's 3 birds, 1 stone. No, the investment account idea, way better idea.
Could suffer the same fate as the Roman. One guy not only understood it, but he actually
proposed. Yeah. Let's go to Twitter. To Social Security. We wouldn't even need to take a loan out on it. And that's the other thing too. At 50, if you've been employed 90% of your adult life, and you have to be able to furnish proof of employment to pay dividends and accrue interest. Exactly. If every millennial had been given a 10 at birth by the government instead of Social Security, which one saves the taxpayer money? Social Security or 10 millennial? Okay, millennials are typically defined as those born between 81 and 96. Census Bureau estimates that 73 million of us, million births per year, totaling. I don't know why it would assume only. I don't know why it would have, like, whatever. Each newborn receives. Okay, so 640 billion Social Security and disability primarily funds retirement benefits. Focus on the Social Security was giving each millennial 10 grand at birth would save the taxpayer somewhere between. Or no, wait, actually, no, excuse me, because a billion is 1,000 million, not 100. So, yeah, yeah. Giving each millennial 10 grand at birth would have saved the taxpayer a fuck ton. A fuck ton. Only being allowed to get it if you've paid enough taxes into the system to equal or surpass it defeats the point of it. That's not the point. Like, if to get it you had to pay $10,000 worth of tax, that's fine. But that's not even, Panda, that's not even as much as what I said. I said, hey, you have to be employed for 90% of your life up to age of 50. Which is fucking be employed 90% of your life, you're going to pay way more than 10 grand in taxes. So Panda, like, your thing isn't even as stringent as my thing. And yeah, I agree. If you're convicted of like gave your investment account to, and there you go. If you commit an egregious crime, your investment account is given to the family of your victims. And if it's a crime against the state gets it. So, yeah. There you go. Way better deal to give every child 10 grand at birth. Just into the market. Doesn't even need to do 15%. Let it do the 10, 11% that the market or buy a small business or whatever.
Of politics called
Liv, if you missed it, fine. I very clearly said 90% of your adult life, like since 18.
Cyclosis, or cycle of constitutions. His idea was that every form of government, no matter how noble, eventually decays into, and this is important, its evil twin. And what's so incredible about this theory is that we can still apply it today and potentially use it to save our own country from the inevitable collapse that seems to have engulfed every other, as the rule of one. And the positive manifestation of this, in Polybius's view, is the monarchy, the kings that are just and of a tyrant. People get tired of the tyranny, and so eventually they're overthrown. But what replaces them? Well, in this phase, it's the rule of a few, or the positive manifestation of this being aristocracy, a class of experienced and noble statesmen who put their skills to use running the government on behalf of the people. But eventually they become self-interested and corrupt too. The aristocracy turns into its evil twin, oligarchy, where elites use the system to enrich themselves and shut everyone else out. Just like before, this leads to a revolution. The people rise up and establish the rule of the many, or democracy. And at first, democracy also has an evil twin which degenerates into mob rule. Elections turn into little more than a contest on who's better at looting the public treasury in order to buy votes. Demagogues manipulate the public, and instead of one tyrant, somebody noble and strong and competent to take charge and fix the problems. You know, like a strong man. And the cycle begins again. Now, if any of this sounds familiar, it probably should, because a generation after Polybius came up with his theory, Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon and the Roman Republic gave way to the Roman Empire under his nephew Octavian. But if Polybius is right,
time does not matter as much as the money you paid in the system. If someone can pay as much in 30 than someone else in 40, why would 30 not be enough? Some people work 30 a week. Here's why, Lando. Because we make better long-term decisions the older we get. So making people wait until 50, they're gonna make better decisions with that money once you put it in their hands. Plus, if they know they get that money at 50, they're gonna structure their life in a way that they expect to get to 50. And if we're talking about putting the money in the market to do that thing we're talking about, the money needs to be locked in the market long enough to become the big lump sum that we need it to be. If we give it to them when they're 30 years might not be enough time for that 10 grand to turn into the amount of money it needs to be for them to retire on. So it does need to be in there for at least 50 years for multiple reasons.
Yeah, what you said about them living until 50 because they know the money is coming made me think of that. She said people live forever when there's an annuity to be paid them.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, it's much easier to convince a 20-year-old to have 5 kids before the age of 25 if they know that well, I mean, I can rack up a bunch of debt now, and it doesn't matter because when I'm 50, I'll be able to pay any debt I've accrued off. 30 years of work versus 40 year. Yeah, dude, you can do a lot in a decade, bro. And the market, but more importantly, the market can do a lot in a decade. That's what we're talking about. The 10 grand goes into a market investment account, and it literally just feeds the market. Like, it goes to like a market index fund. Now, the biggest objection that I can honestly think of is, what firm do we trust with all this money? Because that firm is going a bigger concern. But you can't trust the fucking government. Exactly, not BlackRock. And not an Israeli one. Itself in the dick.
Avoided this fate for over 2 centuries. Well, our founding fathers were very familiar with Polybius's work, and they took him extremely seriously. In fact, they designed the Constitution of the United States specifically to attempt to break the cycle he outlined. They did everything they could
to put in a balanced budget amendment and term limits and several other things that I've thought of obvious ones. No, the founding fathers and oversights that they made that were so fucking obvious. Pet peeve, if you couldn't tell. Huge pet peeve. Also, if the reason for the investment account idea is to solve the birth rate, then shouldn't it be limited to people who have kids? Panda, silly bitch. If I know that my ID number, instead of them receiving a social security number, they receive that, and I know that upon them receiving that on their birth certificate, the government dumps $10,000 in my kid's name into an investment account, I'm going to try to have like 10 fucking kids. Because I know that in 50 years, I'm going to have tangential access to tens of millions of dollars. Like, it would be the smartest thing in the world for me to have like 20 fucking kids and raise them all to be loyal to me as a patriarch. And then when they're all 50 or when they're all whatever age, we can pool the sum of the family money and boom, launch a giant fucking enterprise that turns into a megacorp overnight. You see what I'm saying? Like, it incentivizes me as an individual to produce more offspring. Even if I lack that kind of ambition, even if I don't have the brain cells and gray matter to think up a vision that awesome, I could still be like, well, I can have kids because I don't have to worry about their future. Because the government is going to put 10 grand in their name in an investment account, and when they're 50, they're going to be able to comfortably retire. So they'll know that they can have kids. So my bloodline is secured, and it's safe for me to have kids. Even if it's a little hard for me, my kids will be taken care of long run. First of all. And second of all, parents, children not respecting their parents isn't a matter of culture. The culture is irrelevant. It's the job you do as a parent. It literally has fucking nothing. It has fuck, because that's the natural default setting, is to love your parents. There's a reason that even people with shitty parents still love their parents.
And democracy. Today we can find these things in the president, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. This is why James Madison famously said that in politics, ambition must be made to counteract ambition. However, it's also when Ben Franklin was asked, what sort of government have you given us? He replied with, a republic if you can keep it. And for a long time, we have kept it. But while the American system is unique, it is not indestructible. It only works if people continue to believe in it and are willing to fight to defend it. Part of that fight includes making sure that future generations understand that while the United States has been given a system which is incredibly strong, very resilient, and has thus far stood the test of time, we are not immune to the same degeneracy that we have seen in republics and monarchies and aristocracies that have taken place all throughout human history. So if we want to be different, we have to continue to learn these lessons, not just for ourselves, but to pass it on to future generations so that they can also avoid the turmoil that has plagued so many countries before us.
There are a lot of countries besides America. It's a very silly thing to say, all roads lead to America. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? All roads lead to America. Like, obviously not. That's... Yeah, that's retarded. That's just a dumb thing to say. Panda. And he's saying it's a play on all roads lead to Rome. And I don't agree with that either, because Rome isn't the only option. Communist fucking Russia is an option. The Weimar Republic is an option. North Korea is an option. Venezuela. I'm just so frustrated with all the bullshit at Venezuela. Oh my god, dude. Fucking Milwaukee. Haven't heard hide nor hair of that motherfucker in a hot minute.
Oh, I know.
I wonder if he's still getting shit-faced and acting like a dumbass. And saying Venezuela like it's an argument.
We just randomly say Venezuela like it's an expletive. Venezuela.
Well, if you recall, he was trying to make an argument.
Yes. Yeah.
We decided to skip further than the Weimar Republic. Oh, we didn't skip. That's not true, Maru. We didn't skip further than the Weimar Republic. There was open-air, street corner child prostitution in the Weimar Republic. We're not there yet. We're not quite there yet. We're getting close. Like, we're a few shaves away for sure, but we're not there.
Yeah, because it wasn't exactly open air, but they did have, 14-year-old boys dressed in very...
Are you talking about Devin is Amazing? Because I think they started that when he was 11.
Supposedly for charity, and there were some 14-year-old young men who had been recruited to dance on tables, suggestively shaking their asses in front of some
Obviously
guys,
pedophiles.
yeah, that were members of government. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, look, everyone. One of them there pedophile parties.
Yeah.
Get your torches, everyone. Can you list me 2 very good reasons that woke doesn't work? At a ground woke as built on greed is an idea, and so that's reason 1. And reason 2, it is an ideology built on intersectional victimhood, which is first premise. Well, not the first premise. One of the primary premises of woke is holy is the victim, sacred is the victim, and everyone who doesn't have power or everyone who doesn't have the most power is a victim of the people who have the most power. And then the second premise, the intersectional part, is, and everyone who doesn't have the most power is united in all of their myriad struggles and all of their different circumstances by that uniting through line that they are not the people with the most power. Completely forgetting, of course, that the thing that is the reason they are not the people with the most power makes a big fucking difference. A white lie that woke people tell. But anyways, so there's a lot of difference between why a gay white dude is not the people with the most power and why a black lesbian is not the people with the most power. Same exact... No, I don't want to repeat that. Are you fucking kidding me? Which group has the most power in my view? Old money. That's who. Old money. It's not... Said was, I'm only going to do this one more time. Woke doesn't work for many reasons. Or things that they use in addition to that is intersectional victimhood. Intersectionality. Hey, isn't it great that we're all victims? Because that means we're holier than the people who are victimizing us, even though they're not really victimizing us, by the way. And isn't it great that we're all united in being victimized by those power? The left wants to tell you it's straight white guys, but in reality, it's rich people that have been rich for hundreds of generations that have more money than God. And it will likely be them for ever. One example, an excess of empathy is always damaging, as bad actors will abuse you. Another, equality is a concept distant from nature. Things distant from nature fail. Yeah. Would you mind reciting Revelations from memory? I would, as a matter of fact. Considering I've never read Revelations, haven't gotten there yet. I couldn't recite it from memory if I had to. Unless maybe on the one-off that you pumped me so full of DMT that I was able to directly convene with the Holy Spirit, and he was nice enough to say it to me verbatim so that I could then repeat it through my flesh mouth so that, I could recite Revelations to you. But you would have to pump a lot of DMT into me for that.
or he would just have to see that there would, and he wouldn't even need the DMT.
Or perhaps it would be better to say, and he would make it. They also perceive sometimes that a majority of a certain group represents oppression, when it really doesn't. Like with hiring and school admissions, they think if there's less of a minority at a certain job or school, especially with things like college admissions, hey, look, let's call a spade. Race correlates with IQ. IQ correlates with race. Sorry, if your IQ is 90, you're less likely to get into Harvard. Don't like it? Incentivize breeding for intelligence instead of breeding for dick size and how retarded you are in social situations. Hang on, what did Panda say? That's right. I'm not seeing what he's... What are you talking about that with pesticides? What did Panda say that brought that up? I believe infrastructure and food drink supply might reform help. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, help fixing the food supply and reducing environmental pollution will absolutely help with fertility, no doubt about it. But that's not the main source of the problem. Beyond help, I just call them demonic and belittle them and inform them that I have absolutely no respect for them or anything they're going to tell me. Because someone who thinks that it's okay to chemically castrate a kid is unsalvageable. Burrito 43, welcome to the adventure. Much appreciate for the follow, Burrito. Welcome in. We have a second burrito. Well, a third, because we already had a baby burrito.
Oh, yes. I was referring to...
Yeah, I know, Kate. Herbicides, pesticides. There's a... Thank you, Lando, for that point of clarity, but it's both. How many Asians are in the NBA? Exactly. What would be your argument for minors not getting tattoos? Just, for example, when I see an article just saying, why aren't there more black women firefighters? And they blame racism. No, it's because there's maybe 12 black women across the nation who want that job. Exactly. And and of the 12 women across the nation that want that job, maybe 3 of them can actually do it. Not that they're being kept out of the job, right? What makes it demonic? Are you serious? The thing... Okay. Okay. Well, it would help if I had a little bit more context here. Like, dude, instead of asking me all these questions, can you give me the situation and be like, hey, Zach, this is what I'm dealing with. This is the person I'm interacting with. What do I say to this person? And I can give you some more direct advice. Can you just stop beating around the bush and, like, actually, like, give me the information and the situation so I can actually try to help? Oh, God. Love me some aqua. I wish it was mead, though. I know someone who likes giving minors, and I think it's wrong. How do I prove him wrong? If you know an individual who personally gives puberty blockers to minors, again, I don't think you can convince that person that it's wrong, them to the FBI. But in my opinion, For example, hey Zach, my wife would like to peg me, but in my opinion, that is too close to homosexuality. What would Jesus say? Really, really hard. Would definitely say, yeah, let's not do that. That would certainly be my guess. Oh, is it a pudge? Is it a pudgy little raven? Oh. Irreversible changes to the development to a person who is not yet able to foresee the consequences of his decisions. It's like allowing a 6-year-old to get a face tattoo of his favorite band, but worse. I'm here to demean myself and amuse you. Well, thank you. Did you show him like an opinion piece from a news site, or did you show him a scientific article? Because he is wrong. Like, it's not... Like, there is no evidence. There is no evidence. I'm going to say it a third time. Just in case you didn't hear me. There is zero drugs used on minors are reversible. None. I'm against it. I'm 100% against everything trans. If you want to walk around saying you're a woman, I don't think you should be thrown in jail for that. But it should not be a protected class. It should not be socially accepted. It should not be socially tolerated. None of that shit. If you should be allowed to discriminate in hiring and housing, like we should do. There is plenty of evidence of long-term increased risk of self-deletion for that, however. Yes. Puberty blockers is the marketing term that the left cooked up to give kids chemical castration drugs. It doesn't slow... Okay, Empire, hang on. This is why I have this, this section in the Discord. I really should separate all the trans stuff from the I really should separate all the trans stuff from the rest of the alphabet cult stuff. What? Oh yeah, I knocked it off. Hang on, Empire. I'm looking for some stuff in the Discord. Okay. If you don't know what the W-Path tapes are, so W-Path is a foundation that is like the seminal authority on everything related to gender mutilation. And this investigative journalism report proves that all the claims about puberty blockers, chemical castration drugs, all that crap being reversible, it's a lie. I mean, you could definitely compare them to NAMBLA. But yeah, that thread right there, it proves that they have no idea what they're talking about because they admit that. So you could definitely present that. Okay. The 128th German Medical Assembly 2024 just passed 2 resolutions to restrict chemical castration drugs and for gender dysphoric youth under 18 to clinical trials and blah 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 blah. This was done because there is mounting evidence that these obviously, I don't know why we needed to mutilate an entire generation of children to figure out what was fucking obvious.
Oh man.
I'm trying to move to Texas. Okay, that is not the one.
What? What's the matter for you, huh? What is the matter for you? What's the matter for you?
How often do I read? Depends on what you're talking about. As far as like reading books, not as often as I would like. I wish I had more time to read.
Hi. Hi, Captain No Nap. I should say Captain Barely Nap. Because you seem to be...
About Europe restricting gender mutilation. Here you go. Oh no. Did they stop doing this? Did they take their thing down?
What?
Oh no, they ditched the Publica. Why? Ah, you guys. I wonder why him and Sydney gave up on the Publica. That makes me sad.
Did they have a falling out?
Maybe. Do you agree that those are forms of autism?
'Cause
The woke keep their head down and call you a fascist if you share them this information.
I know she's been hanging out with,
Hillary Crowder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can... Can you find the news story this blurb is talking about? White papers, statistics, every day action. The internet works better here. Thoughts on the Iran situation? Sucks to suck. Throw shit, get shit thrown at you. Okay. Regarding its safety on regarding its reporting on the safety of puberty blockers, covering National Press Club speech, trans activist George Stone. Based on the context, the correction likely pertains to news stories which inaccurately claimed that puberty blockers are completely reversible. Yeah. Alright, what are your favorite subjects to learn about?
Princess Pudge. Yeah. Are you the pudgiest Pudge that ever pudged? Are you just the cutest Pudge? Yeah. Yeah.
And, okay, so there's that. Hang on, I'm just continuing to scan through my evidence. See if I have anything else directly related to puberty blockers. Okay. Ask them to define, ask what key aspect defines their, ask if they know who founded it after they fail, laugh. Yeah, there you go. Go with the Socratic method. You could turn it around on them instead of trying to prove to them that puberty blockers are safe. Just turn it around. Be like, hey, prove to me they are. If you're so sure I'm wrong, just, hey, I'm willing to be convinced. Prove to me that they are safe. Where's your evidence? There are no long-term studies. There are barely any studies at all. None of them long-term. So, when they say that puberty blockers, chemical castration drugs used in kids, are safe, just turn it around and be like, okay, prove it. I'll be convinced. Where's the studies? Cough it up. Not can affect brain development. Do. do affect brain development. The only question is how much, and that's going to vary by dose and individual. There are no health benefits. There is literally no evidence anywhere that there is any benefit. Every single study that is credible, that actually looks at data instead of subjective reporting, demonstrates that condition of the patient is either the same or worse after administration of chemical castration drugs. There is no study that shows benefit, period. And there are many studies. So, no. It is not a matter of, but the risks must be weighed against the mental health. No. No benefits. ChatGPT is a lying piece of shit. It's ChatGPT. It's a fucking AI, dude. It's an AI programmed by wokies. Please, for the love of God, of all of the things in the political arena, this is one of the things that I'm legitimately kind of an expert in, with how much research I've done and how much content on this issue I've consumed and how many studies I've looked at. I'm bordering on expert. I'm certainly informed. Ask me. Peter Bogheisen has a great YouTube channel where he uses the Socratic method to unravel people's arguments. It's called Street Epistemology. That does sound good. Do you think that Iran's supreme leader will be killed this week? Maybe. Who knows? Anything can happen. All's fair in love, war, and nuclear bombs.
Did you think that was funny?
Oh. Did Daddy get you? Did Daddy get you?
You are the pudgiest pudge.
Comedy should take puberty blockers.
What is
I
that?
agree.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to
There you go. That's another one you could hit him with. Empire. Be like, hey, dude, if puberty blockers are so safe, why don't you take them for a year and tell me if you can reverse it then? What do you think about Muslims calling Jesus a prophet? That's what their book teaches them. What do I think about it? They're wrong. I don't know what else you want me to say. And by the way, their own book demonstrates they're wrong. I don't know if you're familiar with the Muslim dilemma, the Islam dilemma.
Yeah.
But the Islamic dilemma goes a little something like this. If the Quran is true, then the Bible is true. And if the Bible is true, the Quran is false. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 premises, and the Quran absolutely affirms that the Bible is true multiple times. That just makes you so happy, doesn't it?
You like that? Where's your hand?
Where is your other hand? There it is.
There it is.
Oh, Mohammed is 100% a pedophile.
Yep.
Mohammed is a pedophile, gay, loved dick in the butt, was constantly covered in jizz, was fecally incontinent, probably because of how much dick he took up. But God, you know, the more you find out about Muhammad, the more some of the weird shit in the Quran makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially the whole
Like-
the eyes are the leather strap of the anus.
Or sperm comes from the spine. Yeah, he probably thought that because it was constantly coming out his ass.
Well, yeah.
Jislam. Not probably being a fraud, 100% a fraud. Like, there's no, like, dude, again, Islam is one of those things that I've spent a good little bit of time doing some homework on. Bro, Islam is a fake religion created by a pedophile warlord. He was a pedophile and a sexual degenerate just across the board. So, a pedophile warlord who was probably schizophrenic and demonically afflicted. Probably schizophrenic, 100% for sure demonically afflicted. Syphilis, schizophrenia, could have been either. Yeah, both. Either, both, tomato, potato, dildo, you know. What we can say for sure is that he was demonically afflicted. 100%. This is also true. Muslims do not know their own book. This is also, you can verify that is true by just having a conversation with a Muslim.
Well, because the way it is structured, they're not supposed to necessarily know it. The imam is supposed to have it completely memorized and be an embodiment of the book and feed it to the flock, essentially. So.
Oh yeah, easier to keep the masses ignorant if you have one guy controlling the info.
Well, see, that's how the Catholics used to do it.
Yeah.
They were like, nope, you can't look at it because you don't have the gnosis. And then like Martin Luther were like, that's probably not how that's supposed to go, guys.
How can you have a personal relationship with the Jesus if you don't read about the Jesus?
Right.
You need just some Jesus.
And those fuckers, they were like, no, but see, if we tell the common folk about it, we can't milk them for their money.
Do you have the cute little toes? Huh? Do you have cute little toes? Oh, they're so cute.
They'll find out that you can't buy tickets to heaven.
They're so cute. They're so cute. You're so cute. Yes, you are.
Well, I mean, he was.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Zach, what's your take on Trump's tweet that people are up in arms about? Which one? That's like saying, hey Zach, what's your take on the air? You know, the air that guy breathed that one time. Like, are you fucking kidding me, Crewfist?
Like, what the fuck, man? Let's see. Do. I was gonna see here. What does it say about?
One of the basics of Islam is that critical thinking and logic are forbidden and have to just act according to Quran teaching. Yeah, another basics of Islam is inbreeding's totally cool, fam.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so many Muslims are multiple layers inbred.
Yeah.
And that's not, again, not making that up. They admit this. Proudly, by the way.
Yeah.
Our great farmers. Oh, yeah. What's my take on it? Trump is wrong, and I hope someone pulls his head out of his ass. This is not what we voted for. This is a betrayal. I am 100% against this. And if Trump begins softening on the immigration shit because things are getting hard, he's a weak coward, and he has lost my support. Immigration is the one thing that I actually expected he would be hardline on and fucking get done. If he goes soft on this, he has betrayed me personally. I hope so, Panda. The only thing about religion you need to know is look at the countries that ran Christianity as their system for the last 1,000 years and compare to the areas of the world running different systems. How did the areas turn out? Right?
Mm-hmm. Ba. Mama. Mama. Amnes. Amnes.
One of the most interesting cases that I have had to date was a 4-year-old boy who was at a barbecue eating when he suddenly grabbed his ear and started crying, complaining of ear pain. So they brought him to the emergency department, and he has a totally normal ear exam. Like, there's nothing. They said do some ibuprofen, see ENT in a couple days. So 2 days later, went and saw ENT. They did a full exam, and again, there's nothing. Totally normal exam. So family was doing ibuprofen and some numbing drops in the ear at home, and nothing was helping. So 2 more days later, came back to the emergency department, and they did a CAT scan of the mastoid, which is kind of like this area here, without contrast. Didn't see anything, looks totally normal, told him to follow up with the pediatrician and ENT again in a couple days. So then another 2 or 3 days later, so now we're between day 7 and day 10, he comes back to the emergency department at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm the doctor on. Now he's having some fevers, and he's not wanting to eat and drink, and we have no idea what's going on with him. His ear exam was totally normal, and he was still complaining of ear pain. On the throat exam, he did have a little bit of swelling of the kind of tonsillar area on the right side and a little bit of tenderness in the neck on the right side also. So we went all out. We did a CAT scan of the neck, which included the ears with contrast, and we did a ton of labs, gave him fluids, just did every test that we could think of doing. And we got our answer on the CAT scan. He had about a 2-centimeter metal wire that was lodged in the paratonsillar tissues on the right, and he'd started to develop an abscess around it. And he had been eating a hamburger when this had happened, so the grill brush, the metal wires on the grill brush had become lodged in the hamburger, and when he ate the hamburger, it got lodged in the soft tissues. He was feeling the pain in his ear probably because of the eustachian tube, the tube that drains the ear to the back of the throat is in that area, so he was probably feeling pressure and irritation from that, and that's why he was having pain there. Ended up going to the operating room with the ear, nose, and throat surgeons, and they were able to remove this and drain the abscess, and he was started on some antibiotics, and his pain was completely resolved. But do not use grill brushes with metal wires. There's not only the risk that it can get lodged in the soft tissues in your throat, but they can also cause bowel obstructions and perforations in the abdomen if accidentally swallowed. And like I said, they get mixed in the hamburger or the meat that's being cooked on the grill. Grill brushes, pretty crazy. Good case.
Yep. Yep. I know of someone who ended up with perforated intestines because of that. It was not very pleasant. They're like, you
That's
have
wild.
diverticulitis, and it was because of a fucking wire from a grill brush.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So, solid scrapers only.
Yep.
Solid scrapers and flame cleaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yay!
Yay! What are we saying yay for? What are we saying yay for? Huh? What are we celebrating? I don't know what we're celebrating. Yay! We're happy about something. I don't know what. Oh boy.
All right.
Whatever you want, histrionic personality disorder, Sam. Democrats don't just have meetings where they sit down like, hey guys, let's go grab a cup of coffee and talk about strategy. They say, we're going to go to a resort, spend $20 million on a project name. Give it a code name, show up, and then lament to each other as wealthy lunatics why they can't communicate with regular Americans. They need people. They're hiring. Pause. Guys, I just figured it out. I'm going to start a consulting firm for Democrats because they're paying millions of dollars for people to tell them exactly what I'm saying right now. Why am I giving it away for free? Look. They're holding meetings to have people tell them, I'm not kidding, to dump the woke ideology. Like, they couldn't just listen to someone like me who donated the max to like 2 or 3 Democrats in 2020. They're like, no, it's because Tim Pool's secretly right-wing. What about Joe Rogan? He's far-right as well. Let's hire a consultant for $20 million to tell us.
Democrats want to actually be viable again. We have to dump this woke stuff. And he's getting attention. But as of right now, there's not a lot of proper motion in the Democrat Party. David Hogg is not the kind of dude that is going to be a leader. There's ethics stuff with him, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen a political party so lost in my entire life.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, look at this, like 16%. That's just absolutely wild. 16%.
Like Gavin Newsom going on Bill Maher, trying to seem like, push himself or shift himself to more of a centrist point of view, as if like we haven't seen the last 20 years of his.
Gavin Newsom isn't going to succeed is not because we can see the past. It's not because we know he's a grifter. The fact that he was.
You're pointing people out, huh? You pointing people out?
Huh?
Daddy couldn't hear you because he had his headphones on.
Are you reading? Are you reading that? Huh? Is that what? Yeah, you reading that? Yeah. Dada and Mama and me.
So callow and spineless when he was governor is why. He bent the knee to woke ideology nonsense. He said, tell me what to say and I'll say it. Now that he's coming around and saying, well, I'm being a bit more moderate. It's like,
where are you going?
We don't care what you're claiming now. The reality is, some people may be swayed by it, but the reason he's doing this all around as a person, he is a weak person.
What?
That means, even if he came out in public and said, I am changing my mind and rebranding, and I want to be moderate, we'd be like, okay, that's fine. You're a weak person who can't win elections. I get it, he won governor, but I don't see this guy going to the national level. He's like, it's like kind of feels like a B list,
I don't care if Iran has a nuke or not. What I care about is they just don't have a mechanism to launch it. What I care about is Iran has been a state sponsor of terrorism for a very long time. They are undeniably a hotbed for extremism, and I kind of feel the way God felt in the Old Testament about it. Kill the women, kill the goats, kill the kids, kill them all. It's all evil. Get rid of it all. Glass. I know that's not the Christian thing to say, and I struggle with that. I go back and forth between Old Testament and New Testament approach. But, yeah. It doesn't matter whether they have a nuke or not. Iran is a hotbed of evil in the world. It just is. The civilians are not like that. Prove it.
What? What is the matter? What?
Late times.
Because you smell like you did something.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have that X factor. He's not a top tier guy. The fact that he was.
If you can show me evidence that there's a large degree of social unrest, people protesting against the government, then I will be willing. Miga, make Iran glass again. Love it. Did she shame?
I'm going to find out.
Well, I mean, if she did, we should probably just shower, because I got to get up for work in the morning anyway, so I was thinking that this would be the last video anyways.
Okay, yeah, because we got to get up and go to mom's and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Willing to just say whatever Democrats want him to say, proves it.
You couldn't even beat Ron DeSantis. What makes him think he can go on a national level? I mean, Ron came in, what, third on the national scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the reason is because the Democrats have so few options. Like, you've got at least a decade or maybe 15 years of Gavin Newsom being the mayor of San Francisco and then going on to governor, where he said, we're going to fix the homeless problem. We're going to fix the homeless problem. We're going to fix the homeless problem. Multiple times, multiple different venues, says it all the time. And they still have yet to actually fix the homeless problem. He has the amount of history that he has in California and the bad things that have happened while he's the governor or the mayor of San Francisco, all those things are just ripe for the Republicans to tear him apart. I don't see how he actually would be viable.
Left and liberals within the Democrat Party are irreconcilable, and it would behoove Republicans to continue to exploit that divide, and I think they'll be able to win a handful of elections moving forward if they continue to do so. I think the left in the Democrat Party has like a hard cap at 30%, but then the other people in the party won't swallow a pill like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez long term. So like I think she could win a primary but then lose hard in a general election, and I think the Republicans could make the situation such that, you know, that they're going against these types of people.
I don't think ideology matters as much. It certainly does, because woke is broke. But my point is that AOC, Newsom, some of the top names they got, they are weak people. Now, don't get me wrong, they're stronger than average. Gavin Newsom, obviously, you won a governorship. Congratulations. I'm saying for the presidency, Donald Trump walks on stage at a rally and imitates a politician body slamming a journalist. He is a strong man. That's why Democrats were screaming he's a fascist. And Republicans are like, I'm on the schoolyard. I want the bully to be in my corner. I want him standing in front of me, protecting me from everybody else and guaranteeing what I want.
Yeah, and for that matter, I want to clarify here and walk back what I was saying. I don't actually think, like in my heart of hearts, I don't actually think that glassing Iran is the morally correct thing to do. It's certainly the easy thing to do. It's certainly the easy way to solve the problem, but I know it's wrong. Kind of. It's just hard to persuade me that it's not the pragmatic... I mean, it is the pragmatic choice. Just glassing Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, several Muslim countries is what I'm getting at. It'd be the smart thing to do. Evil, yeah. It'd be evil, which is why we shouldn't do it. But from a purely intelligent standpoint, yeah, it'd be the smart thing to do. It would make the terrorist problem worse. Hard to have a terrorist problem when all the goat fuckers are dead. It probably does, but nothing strict. Shinto is about appreciate your own land, nature, culture, and ancestors. No fucking way. No fucking way. No fucking way. Was she shameful? Well, why? I don't know why you didn't just wait for a minute. It was bad. All the more reason to wait a minute. Like, now you've wasted a diaper. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought you were changing her.
No, like it was up her back, man.
Oh, it was blowout?
Yeah.
Gotcha. You can't group everyone living in those countries as Muslim. That's also fair. That's also fair. There are Christians there. And again, that's why I've said, look, I know I'm being hyperbolic. I know it actually is the wrong thing to blow them all out of the sky, to blow them all off the face of the earth. I know it's wrong, not least of which because there are innocents among them. I get it, okay? I have a tendency to fall into hyperbolicism. I'm the hyperbolic take chamber, okay? So I formally walk back and apologize for saying we should nuke the Middle East. Surgical missile strikes. Lots of surgical missile strikes.
I don't want to be against the bully. So I see Gavin Newsom. You look at his brand. Donald Trump keeps defending Operation Warp Speed even when he gets booed. He's like, well, you may not like it, but whatever. Look at him when he's at the Libertarian Convention. And he was like, oh, you don't want to vote for me? Then lose. Take your IRL. Make sure to...
Last thing, and then we're going. Four Beatles movies and Oppenheimer, but in 38 years there has only ever been one. Spaceballs. Until now.
After 40 years, we asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie. May the Schwartz be with you.
What do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie. Oh, man. I hope we get Lone Star back. People not really Muslim, and some people even return to their belief systems and culture which exist before Islamic occupation. I'm gonna design. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That makes me happy. Alright. Holy shit, Grumple has 50 people watching him?
The way the laws are, and I think.
Oh, that's why he's doing a collab.
But I do think that was a smart tactic.
That's why.
On Vince's part, Vince, what'd you think of the format, man? It's tough.
To be honest with you.
All right, guys, we're raiding out. I will see you all tomorrow. We're probably gonna do the thing on homosexuality tomorrow. Mel Brooks is 89 years old, which is crazy.
Somewhat knowledgeable on. So that all things considered.